Yep, all set.
Sweet. Right. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining us for this latest show and tell. I can't remember what sprint we're on now, to be perfectly honest. But we are getting towards the end. So we have this, and then we have one more sprint, and then we are pretty much done with this alpha phase. So just to kind of let us know what we're doing. So there's a quick welcome intro for me and a quick project update. But the main, the main meat of this show and tell is a demo from Netcore of the work they've been doing, implementing the prototypes into their platform. So core project team, I think we've kind of been through this a few times. So yeah, Richard, Miranda and me from Redbridge Digital, Karen and Jeff from Redbridge Housing, and Nick from Redbridge IT. And as an update, so because big news is we've got a usability testing day scheduled for next Wednesday. So we're coming on site to the Orchard Housing office. So it'd be good to see a few of you in person and just like run through a few more of the designs we've been testing and get your feedback on those, see if there's any ways we can improve them. We're currently writing up the project report, so it's be due like late April, probably early May. We'll get a draft out for the end of this month and then have a few tweaks to make and get it made all nice and pretty from our comms team, rather than some of the hacked together presentations you've seen in these show and tells. The procurement decision, we're still on track for end of this month, but then there's going to be a bit of faff after that with contracts, getting whichever platform we go with set up with like IT security so it can integrate with Northgate. So probably the first release of live functionality to you guys is going to be like late May, early June. But yeah, we're getting there. And I think in the intervening period, we can kind of carry on working on what we're doing. We won't be able to put anything live for you to use for a little bit. But then once we're live, we can kind of go live with say 3 or 4 processes. And we just keep adding processes on an iterative basis, like sprint by sprint. So with that, I'm going to pass over to Netcore, who are going to give us a demo of the work they've been doing. Right, over to Luke.
Hi everyone. For those of you that haven't spoken to me before, I'm Luke, one of the principal application architects from Netcore, and I'm the one who's been building the 3 processes into our application for this alpha. So what I'll do is today just take you through one of those processes and how it kind of works within our platform. Before I do that, I'll just give you a brief overview about the platform itself and how we integrate the processes. So Netcore has an application called Liberty Create, which is a low-code development platform, and that includes all the tools, and it's a very mature product. On top of that, we have a framework that we call Tenant Hub, which basically utilizes a lot of the components of Liberty Create, and basically includes a lot of the core concepts related to companies and public services that offer housing and tenancy based products and services. And the framework includes things like case management, concepts, obviously like people, properties, tenancies, that kind of stuff. It includes multiple interfaces out of the box. So an agent interface, which is the one we're looking at now, the one that housing officers and members of the team will be using. It also includes a self-service portal for offering services and processes to tenants themselves, and builder interfaces, so for people who are configuring and maintaining and adding services to the system. The Tenant Hub framework is based around obviously these core components, and the kind of is extendable by allowing you to register services like yours. So good examples of services are your succession, sold to joint, and change of details services. A standardized method of registering these services within the system, and one of these services is what I'm going to show you today. So what I'll demonstrate. Yes.
Is it possible to magnify the font size at all? I think a few people are struggling to see it a little bit.
Let me see if I can just zoom in a bit on that. Is that any better?
It's definitely bigger. Can you go bigger still?
Bigger still, yeah, I can do. Is that any better? I mean, I can go right in like that.
Yeah, there you go. There's some thumbs up for you.
Okay, cool.
Cool, thanks.
Okay, no problem. So what I'm going to do is go through a demonstration of the sold to joint process. So you can see already that we've applied the styling and the layout stuff from your wireframes, and we've integrated the property people and code data from your API stubs using the Liberty Create API function. So we're putting that data in. So I'm going to go through the scenario of a solder joint. So what I'll do is first of all do a search for an address, which I already know contains an appropriate property. So here you can see we've emulated your wireframes in terms of the property details page. So we've got one tenant in this property and a few occupants who are not tenants. So in this case, what we're going to do is assume that we have Emma Parish or Robert Harris on the phone, and they want to. Robert Harris wants to enter into a joint tenancy with Emma Parish here. So in order to do so, we start the solder joint tenancy process, which will launch the form. And for those of you that have seen the wireframes, I'll zoom in a bit here. This will look familiar to you guys. So we have the first page in which the eligibility checks are described, and the email address of the tenant is verified, and then the declaration statement is read out to the applicant. In this case, what I'm going to do is state that the tenant's correct email address is not the one provided. That way, I'm going to set it to mine and act as the applicant in this case. So I'll set that to me and confirm that I've read the declaration statement to the tenant and start the process itself. So obviously the next page is offers the agent the ability to select the tenant that is that needs to be added to the or is applying to be added to the tenancy. So here we're going through Robert Harris, so we'll choose him and click on next. And the final the final step really is the eligibility checks. So the rent account is not in arrears. That's something that's done automatically, and we're going down the happy path here. So the further housing officer completed eligibility checks all have an answer of no in that case. So we'll continue that way. And this is the final step of the kind of initial form capture. So which is sending the request for evidence to the tenant. So you can see that email is going to be sent to me asking for evidence of the needed for the application of the tenancy. So I'll send a request for the evidence here and gets that back out to the home page. And you can see that if I have a look at the cases down here, you can see that the case has been created and the current stage is that the evidence request has been sent. So I'll give that a couple of seconds to okay, I've already received that email. So the email has just come through. It looks a bit like this. Obviously, we've included all of the messages and the content based on the copies that you sent through. So how it works here is basically if you want to add documents to a case, or if an applicant does, all they need to do is reply to the email and attach the documents which support their tenancy. So I'll attach a couple of so I've got an example file here, and maybe see if I find something else. Let's attach a couple. Let's go for maybe a picture. Let's go for a screenshot of a recycling symbol, something like that, just to show, and send that back. So once that's sent, the system will recognise that an email has been attached to the case or been received for that case with attachments, and it will save them against the case. So if I refresh this page now, we should see that the has changed and is now check supplied evidence. So if I open this case up, it will show me the documents that have been sent in that email, and we have the document preview page that pops up, allowing the housing officer or the agent to preview the file, and then they can define what that file is depending on the contents. So here's just that image there, and we'll say that's a birth certificate, for example. We've implemented. I know that the proof of concept was just for the happy path, but we have implemented basically all of the unhappy paths as well. So in testing, this can be tested by you guys. I'll show you the process map down here. So as part of the standard service registration within the Tenancy Hub framework, a process is created, which basically is obviously the steps that is followed by the application. So we've gone through each of these steps, and you can see that completed by a particular person or by the system, and we're currently here waiting for the check of supplied evidence. But all of these kind of other paths have been fully implemented as well, so they can be tested. But for today, we'll just assume that the evidence is supporting the solder joint application. So we'll say yes here, And the next step is to submit the application to the enhanced checks team, so they can do their audit work and then send it back to us for the final decision. So what I'll do now is submit this application for enhanced checks, and it will split me back to my home page. This no longer appears in my work queue because it's been moved across to the enhanced checks guys. So I've got a browser window logged in as a member of the audit team here. So if I refresh my page, I can see that the case showing up here. It's the enhanced check stage, and we'll get the page from the wireframe here. So they can define that they've reviewed the case, and they can provide the Opus case reference number, and then their recommendation back to the officer. So obviously they can approve the case, they can request more information, they can deny it, or they can say it's inconclusive. Obviously we're doing the happy path today, so I'll approve it and submit the recommendation. And this again will take it off of the audit team or the enhanced check team queue and push it back to the housing officer. So I'll come back into this window here, and I should find, okay, it's appeared back here at the bottom of the queue, and the current stage is review enhanced checks. So I'll open this one up, and all that's left to do is basically make our final decision. So we can see that the recommendation from the enhanced checks team is to approve the case. So I will follow their advice and approve it. And then the next step is to make an appointment with the tenant, which I can do here. Obviously that's done outside of the system. And the final stage of this process is to upload the signed tenancy agreement. Something else I'm going to quickly show is the case summary PDF, which is something we've added recently. The ability to basically generate a summary document for the case, just in case you needed to send this out somewhere via an email or something, or basically have an audit trail or a description of every decision and piece of information that's been added to this case, just so you can have that as a hard copy or export it out of the system if needed. So the final step here is to choose a file to upload for the tenancy agreement. So I'll upload this example file here, finish the sole to joint application, click on that, and it will take me back to my home page. So what I'm going to do is go back to that, and you can see that now Robert Harris has been upgraded into the tenants list and taken out of the occupants list. So the sole to joint tenancy is complete. That's pretty much it in terms of the process. So yeah, I mean, do you guys have any questions on that, or on the platform in general? I'm happy to take those, or if we want to wait to the end, we can do that. We can do that then.
There's a little alleyway.
Sorry, what's that, Jeff?
So I think that's the end of the show and tell part. I don't know if, I think Luke just asked if there was any questions. I think it's back over to you, Tom.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, I can see Jeff's thing flashing, but I think it's just.
Oh, sorry, no, I just did that by mistake, I think.
Oh, right. No worries. I thought you had a question.
Moving cursor.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, if there are no questions, then that was pretty much all we've got to show you at the moment. So, as I mentioned, we're going to be on site next Wednesday to see some of you, do some more user testing, and then next show and tell in 2 weeks' time, we should have some stuff back from PlaceCube who'll be showing the work that they've been doing. So, yeah, in the interim, anybody's got any questions, please let me know, ping me an email or grab me on Teams and I can help. And if there's nothing else, we'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Excellent, looking good. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
Okay,
Good job.
Cheers all. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
A question. Sorry.
Oh, yep.
Ricky. Yeah, thanks for all the recordings you've been making some recordings throughout the process. I wanted to know the possibility of having a user manual, electronic user manual, if that is